This is I Rock with Rockstars, hosted by Ryan from iRock 93.5.
Hey, give it up. Set It Off is here.
How doing? Hello.
Awesome to have you guys in town doing the tour with From Ashes to New and New Year's Day and everything right now. I mean, first off, just how's the tour going?
It's been amazing. It's great. So we did the first half of this tour, Deathless Part 1, in the spring. So now we're able to come back and hit the cities we haven't yet. And so we're trying to cover the entire United States as much as we can. And before, it's been like a long year of touring. We only had like 3 months off, and then we're right back at it. And then it's been an amazing time. Just the camaraderie's been great, been able to hang out with everybody, and it's been awesome.
You know, and normally I'd say that's what you have to do as a young band. And you are still young, but you've been doing this since 2008.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. So for those that don't know, I mean, how you started, what you were doing, and how you got to here now.
Absolutely. I'll try to make it as short as possible. Essentially, I was in bands in high school. We all were. And I was in a band called One More Shot my senior year because it was my last shot before I had to give up and go to college. So I did. I thought it was over. I went to college. I studied clarinet at Oberlin Music Conservatory. Classical music was going to be my life. And I started doing covers on YouTube and whatnot. And I started covering this band All Time Low. And the singer started looking at it. I noticed he was watching it. And so I asked him, hey, can I sing on stage with you? That's all I wanted, just to get that taste again of like what it would be like to be a front man. And so he did. And after that show, I went back home and I called my mom at like 3 a.m. And I was like, I have to drop out of school. I got to do this. So I did. I called Zach up immediately. Maxx joined us shortly after that. And we've been doing this thing ever since. And
I was the first one called.
I want to clarify, It was me. No, but it was it was just such a point of realization that like there's nothing else that we should be doing except for this. And so we just started fighting for it, and we've been loving it ever since. We started with like literally dropped out, van and trailer, booked all of our own shows. We didn't have a team. There was a website called Indie on the Move, which was like just a map of the United States. You click on a state, a county, and then you just bother promoters until they say yes. And so that's what we did for the longest time, and now it's going well. We're really happy about it.
Awesome. And I mean, you have also, as a band, evolved obviously since then, as every band has.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's, Korn or Set It Off. Everybody evolves over time. From a sonic standpoint, where you started to where now you are and where you're going, what has that process been like for you guys?
God, it's been amazing because we all listen to such different music all across the board, all at the same time. Like
I imagined all at the same time. We listened to it on like 4 speakers in a row.
14 songs, hit play. It's pretty chaotic, very inspirational. But like my mom and dad grew up listening to like 70s like funk, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Tower of Power. That's the stuff they try to like raise me on. And then my sister was like R&B, and then I listened to rap, and then I found nu metal and pop punk, and I was like, I love it all. So when we started writing in the band, like I said, I was covering All Time Low, so I was very much inspired by that sound at the time. But then we were like, you know what? Let's bring more aggression into it. And so then Cinematics happened in 2012, and then it was very aggressive. And then we realized that we could incorporate like, because that was the first time we actually added orchestra in, because that was like going back to the roots there. We're like, okay, well, why aren't we including the roots of what I was going to do into what we're doing now, so have our cake and eat it too. And then we leaned more into like an alternative style, and then it went indie, and we wanted to go back to the aggression that we had in 2012, as we missed it so much, just re-injecting the energy back into Set It Off. And that's when we went independent, and the first song we wrote in that style was Punching Bag. And it was such a clear open door sign, like we found it. Like it's been such a fun journey trying all these sounds out. And that's the beauty of it, is like you don't have to follow a rule book. You don't have to try to fit into someone's lane to what they want to hear. You're supposed to do this because you love doing it. That's why you started in the first place. Locked yourself in a room, played songs because you wanted to play them. So like this is the most fun we've been having in our entire career. Yeah.
Well, and that absolutely tracks with, you went independent and then the lyrics to Punching Bag.
Yeah.
Just listening back in my head, Punching Bag, and you're just doing your own thing. Like, beat me like a punching bag. That's totally cool.
100%.
But my question for you guys, like you said, you were in a band now, and you knew you wanted to be in a band.
Yeah.
I read that you guys do a lot with VH1 Save the Music, and how important it is for kids in music to take those traits and become adults as musicians. what's one thing that you brought as musicians in high school or when you're teenagers or young adults that you still take and use today as a musician or on stage? What's one thing that you got, maybe you learned from a band teacher or a music teacher that you're still incorporating today?
There's a lot for me. That the high school band program was everything for me. My band director, Kevin Ford, instilled so many principles that I still quote to myself to this day. It was because for them, it wasn't just about being in the band. It was also about leadership and accountability and work ethic. And they're talking about standard of excellence. That's always been a thing. What is your standard of excellence? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Working on preparation and having goals. And there's just so much about it, and but leaning on each other and knowing that if you don't show up, you're letting your fellow teammates or people down. So they really did a great job, and that's why we support it so much. Is because it's not just going and playing notes on a piece of paper. It's a team sport. I feel you're working for everybody to be the best you can be, and if you don't show up, then you let them down, and it makes you work hard when you're caring for everybody else like that. So, yeah.
I didn't go to a band in school, but one thing that I learned early on in playing music is if you mess up live, just keep going. Nobody's gonna notice. Just keep going.
Yeah, show must go on.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like life in general, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Okay. Now I warned you all ahead of time to think of questions. So
You've been
I'm
warned.
giving you one more warning here to think of a question. I'll ask something else, though, from a different listener. So they all won their chance to be here and hang out with you guys.
That's
Oh, nice.
They
Congrats.
tried hard. I mean,
Awesome.
they listened and made a phone call, but still, that's trying hard in life now. Nobody makes phone calls anymore. That's a hard try right there.
That's dope.
So they won, but there were other people that didn't win that still sent in questions.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm going to ask at least one of theirs before I come out to the to them here. Little Throde in Davenport want to know just how you came up with the name of the band.
Oh, so that was a tough one. We knew we wanted bop, bop, bop. We knew we wanted the rhythm. And because it makes for a good chant, but also it just felt right at the time, and all of our favorite bands kind of had that feel. And one of those bands was Fall Out Boy. And we were listening to some songs of theirs, and there's a song called Calm Before the Storm. And the chorus goes, Calm before the storm, set it off. So we liked that, but we also liked what it stood for because we knew our live show was going to be so important to us. Because our favorite bands were the ones that went hard. Didn't just stand there and play music. You're there for a show. So we wanted the name of the band to resemble how we were going to treat the show live. So we went with Set It Off.
There you go. That was a good question from a minute. Yeah. All right, now he didn't win, and he had a good question. You won. You better have better questions. Who's up first?
So I actually discovered you guys on Pop Goes Punk.
Oh, sick.
With their cover of Problem.
No way.
Yes. How did that come about? I was curious about that.
So usually when those compilation things come about, the bands that are on top at that time get the first choice. But we really liked the song Problem. We were surprised it wasn't picked because we knew that it involved things we already liked. We liked incorporating rap, like we were saying, listen to everything. So being able to incorporate rap and make it aggressive and make it rock, we're like, let's just have fun with this. Fun fact, I think we did that in a day. We were on tour, and our producer, which crazy enough, I'm going to get sidetracked for a second, but our album Duality, same producer, we weren't supposed to work with him. Or the producer that was going to do that album canceled on us 3 days before we were supposed to start. I called him up and I was like, hey, dude, we're screwed. We just drove our bus and trailer from New York to LA, and now we have no album. And he pulled it out of his ass, and made it work for us. And so it's so appropriate that when that happened, he goes, come through on your off day, let's do it. And we just ripped it in one day. It was awesome. Glad you like it, by the way. Yeah.
I was just curious about what is the one thing you guys have to do before a show and after a show?
Oh, good question.
Drink a Bloody Mary.
That's a big one. The older I get, the longer I have to stretch. Man, when we first started, I would be able to just run up there and be fine. Now, my back hurts, So definitely have to stretch. We put on music to kind of get into the vibe, get our energy kind of up. Those are the two big ones for me.
Yeah. Yeah, the playlist is huge. We actually have a standing playlist that we keep adding to, even in the off season, where if we get a new song, we throw it in so that we're all just getting hype right before the show. We do this pre-show ritual. I don't know if anybody here watches or watched the show Dragon Ball Z, but we always do a Kamehameha wave at each other before we go on stage. Been doing that since the first show, so that if we don't do it, that's going to be a bad night. So it's really, really superstitious as far as that goes. But other than that, for me, I just got to do I do a 15-minute vocal warm up, and just kind of get moving, because if I don't, this is funny. As tour goes on, sometimes you can get really tired because doing the same thing over and over again, you beat yourself down a little bit. I had a buddy come in town. My fiance's used to be a Marine, and so her Marine buddy came into town, and we were joking like, what if we had smelling salts if we were tired? And he straight up was like, I got it in my car. So he went and grabbed the smelling salts, and literally the last show he played, I was like so tired, and I did it, and wow, it works. Woke right up.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely does work. I don't have a good answer because they took all the good answers.
What about after the show?
After. Yeah. What do I do after? Just hang out, really.
Yeah.
Just say hi to my friends.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down and let the sweat dry.
So as the radio guy now, I'm going to ask, music questions here.
Yeah.
You had Punching Bag, you had Fake Ass Friends. Then you kind of quietly put out a remake of Points of Authority.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
That was fun.
I mean, that had to be a fun one to cover just because of who they are.
Yes. It was fun and intimidating because of who they are.
Sure.
So, like, when we were asked to do a cover, and we were like, what do we want to do? And as far as, like, rock goes, I feel like the most influential band to, like, what we're doing right now is definitely Linkin Park, because it has the hip-hop element. It has the rock and the melodies and the aggression and the screams and all that. So when it came time to pick the song, we didn't want to just go for the obvious one. I feel like it's always easy. Maybe it's not the right choice, but we knew we loved the song Points of Authority. It's a song that made me want to run through a brick wall when I was younger. And I love that album, Hybrid Theory. So when we brought it up, everyone was like, yeah, that's the one. But then we also had the decision, like, we shouldn't change it too much, though. Like, let's pay homage to it. Let's just do it in our style with our voice and see how people like it. And so far, the response has been great, which we're happy about.
I mean, cover songs are tough.
They are.
You got to change it enough to make it your own.
Yep.
But if you do it too much, it's, what did you kill my favorite
you
song
ruined
for?
it.
You ruined it. Don't ruin it. I could go off on the Last Resort cover, but I won't. Well, since we talked about that one, I was going to jump to other things, but how do you like the new Linkin Park?
Oh my God, it's amazing. I'm happy for the band, so more than anything, because the way I see it is, I know there was some people talking about this or that, about the singer, but what I think is no matter who they chose, there was going to be controversy. People miss Chester, and they want what they had. They want to go back to what they had, but we can't. But what we have to remember is that band wasn't able to play these songs that they wrote and fell in love with for years, and that was eating at them. They just want to get back up on that stage and play those songs again, and they found the person they felt was the best fit, and it allows them to do it again. So I'm stoked for them that they get to go back on that stage in front of people, and they get to hear those songs sung back to them again. So stoked for them.
It's also
100%.
just great to see rock making headline news.
Yes.
Like,
so cool.
Rock is important again, and that's cool to see.
I mean, you talk about Knotfest,
Yeah.
They're doing Knotfest. Korn has Adidas. Fred Durst is out there selling out to 100,000. New metal's a thing again.
Yo, welcome back, new metal.
100%.
Round of applause for new metal.
After Points of Authority, you put out Creating Monsters.
Yeah.
Which, great time of year for that one. I love that right now. Now I know there's something else in the works.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, because I don't know if you can say yet. Can you say what's in the works?
So we just announced recently that on November 1st, we're doing a re-recording of our song Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. And we're calling it Wolf in Sheep's Clothing Reborn. And the story behind that song is nuts. That song was on our album Duality. It was never a single. It never was a grad track. It never waterfalled into the album. Never got a music video. It is our only platinum single. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so funny. The hardest part, I think, when you're picking a single is just trying to get it right and knowing which one is it. But the fans took hold of that and made it what it is. Our A&R, our label, hit us up one day and just goes, "What's going on with Wolf?" We're like, what? Like, it's blowing up. What's happening? So I went to YouTube and I saw there was all these like animated music videos that people created, just user-generated content to Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, multiple million views on each one. And then it just kind of took off and became like a cultural song for those people that love that culture. And then it became our favorite live song because everyone knows the words to it when they come through. It's just, so we were like, the production back then was more jazzy, and it was it was recorded in 2013. So we're like, what if we took Wolf and it lived in the world of Punching Bag and Fake Ass Friends, and it was in that production style and in the style we're playing today? And so that's what we did. And we cannot wait. So now we're going to give it its chance in the sun. We're going to give it the push it never got and the push it deserved.
And doing it all as an independent band now, which is
Yeah.
cool. We can do it like on our terms, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so awesome and so funny because I just said that today. Like, I would never be a good record label rep because the songs that I love as favorite songs of bands are never singles.
Yeah.
They're always like B-sides and ones that just people love, but they never end up on the radio.
I know.
And I'm like, why aren't people latching on to this? And so that's awesome that this is going to be a single now.
I'm excited because for a lot of people, it's going to be a new song. There's going to be people out there that have never heard it before, and it's just a fresh song for them, which I think is the thing I'm most excited about. Is how does this feel on fresh ears? How do they take this in 2024?
I'm stoked for it now too.
Hell yeah.
So you mentioned before that new metal is big for you guys. New metal is huge for me. I mean, that's what I grew up listening to. So my question for you is, Linkin Park is huge. Linkin Park is huge for everybody. But what's one new metal band that really influenced you that maybe isn't as well known as a Linkin Park or a Korn?
Oh, there it goes.
What's
I was going to say Limp Bizkit so fast.
I know, but everybody knows Limp Bizkit. What's an underground new metal band that you don't think got as much attention that probably should have?
God, that's tough.
I'll let them take it.
For me, it's Spine Shank because I think Spine Shank was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the bands I'm thinking of are like massive Grammy award winning Slipknots and System of a Down.
There also could be unknowns. So you could say anything like Monkey Wrench, dude.
Oh, Monkey Wrench is great.
Those guys,
Yeah.
That one song that one time.
Yeah, they
Dude,
have
Shoelace?
Oh, Shoelace, dude.
To be honest, I'm not even going to front. Like, I've always been like a mass consumer of like what is popular at the time. So like, I didn't do much deep diving into like underground new metal. Like, I was consuming new metal as like a new consumer was like as Limp Bizkit was brought to the forefront, Korn, like Linkin Park, all of that. So I don't know if I did too much deep diving. I don't know if Seven Dust would count because they're huge, but I love Seven Dust. I think they're amazing, and they're very influential to me. Yeah.
I don't even know if this would. I guess it would count as new metal, but I went through a massive mindless self-indulgence phase.
Oh, wow.
When I was younger, and so I think they were a big influence on the ability of just, you can do whatever you want in music. You can make it fun or funny or add rap or rock. Exactly, yeah. It all fits within 100%. That world.
Okay, I'm going to try to turn this into a little bit of a funny thing. I want to know, what is your most embarrassing moment on tour?
On tour? Oh, my God.
Embarrassing moment.
Well, the first thing that pops in my head is we were playing a show. This is back when I played guitar and sang in New York. And there's a song where... Shut it, dude. I was trying to do this cool move where I kicked my foot out really high. Thought I was way more flexible than I was because my left leg wanted to follow me. So I kicked my right leg out. Left leg came out from under, and I just fell so hard. Like, so hard. And I tried to pull it off, like do the Angus Young, like kick on the ground thing. I just looked like I was squirming for my life. So, didn't go well. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
I wouldn't have said that last part.
Yeah. I'll try to replicate it tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Just don't laugh.
We'll all just say, "Oh, he's doing the move."
Yeah, it's like
the move.
In unison, the whole crowd.
Move.
He's doing the move.
I don't know if I have that embarrassing. I'm pretty cool, so I can't think of anything though. It is a great question though. I've dislocated my knee on stage. That's not very embarrassing.
That
just
was also
very,
kind of my
very, very, very painful.
Yeah,
Max, take it away.
How am I going to follow that? I'll tell you the second most embarrassing because there's no way I'm going to tell you the most embarrassing. So we were playing a show in, I believe it was Dallas, and a friend of mine came out and said, "Let's all get drinks before the show." And I don't really drink before we play. Drumming and drinking is just exhausting, so I'll drink after. But they introduced me to Rumplemints, which exactly my thoughts exactly
From the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. So we had, I don't know, 100 shots. And I come back right before we're about to go on stage, and I'm so nervous that I'm not going to be able to play. And so I get the guys. I'm like, "Guys, can you come here for a second? Can you come here? I don't think I'm going to be able. I'm going to try my best. I'm really drunk. I'm going to try my best tonight." And they're like, "You're good, man. You're totally fine." And so I'm like trying to sober up and trying to get ready. The lights go down. And we walk out there, and immediately as I walk out, I trip over a light that's there, knock the light over with my foot. And then the rest of the show was decent for how inebriated I was, but
wouldn't have known.
Yeah. It was just like worst case scenario. I was like, of course the light was right in front of my foot.
So, well, then we're going to jump to this online question here from Boring Mercury 7 in Cedar Rapids. What was your most memorable show and why? would that also be it, or did you not remember that one so well?
Most memorable show. That's tough.
I think for me it was probably our London headliner that we did probably 2 years ago now. We haven't been back in a long time. We need to.
We're about to in January.
About to in January.
Yeah.
Plug. Always
Plug,
be
plug.
plugging.
We're January, February, March. With Point North.
Yeah, it was our first like big sold out show there, and having that many people sing along. I think it was like 2,000 people. Mm-hmm. It was just insane. And we'd been going to the UK for a long time, playing to other people's crowds, and that was the first time we ever had our own really big crowd.
It's. I think what's been great about the journey we've been on, and starting with playing to 0 people and booking stuff ourselves, is it really allows us to fully appreciate where we are today. And we're very grateful for anybody that cares to listen to us or come out to a show and make a connection. It just really means a lot. So those we did it moments are everything. For me, mine was kind of family oriented. When I was in college, the thing I didn't mention, it's going to get a little sad, sorry, but my dad was battling cancer at the time. He didn't want me to leave and drop out to go to be in a band because he literally did the same thing. He dropped out of Berkeley, joined a band. That's how he met my mom. But, didn't put food on the table for his entire life. And he was worried that I'd have to, I would go for it, but then I'd have to do what he did. He worked his ass off. He became a salesman, did what he could to put food on the table. You know what I mean? So he was very much against me doing it at first. Saw the video and was like, you got to do this. But then 2 weeks after he gave me his blessing, he passed away. So it was very important to me that I go home and I give this my everything. And so I wrote a song. I wrote 2 songs about him. One was called Unopened Windows, which is basically about being in this house and seeing through a window that's closed all these things you wish you could have done together, and it's like just seeing it without being able to experience it. So we're playing a show in Orlando. It was a really impactful show because it was Orlando House of Blues, first time like headlining there, I think, and it was sold out, it was a great feeling. But my sister, my niece, and my mom were in the balcony, and I'm playing that song, and the light hits them. And then I see my sister sobbing, and then I lose it on stage. But it was just like this most beautiful moment where I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. Just kind of like it felt like it was about him. And I barely made it to the next song. You guys had to like console me. But it was one of the most important things that's ever happened to me in a show. Yeah.
I have to follow that.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say,
Okay.
good luck with that.
So we played a festival a couple years back called Slam Dunk. We've played it a bunch. Great festival. But a couple years ago, we played it, and we hadn't been to the UK in a while, and the crowd was not great. Mm-hmm. They just didn't seem into it. There weren't a lot of people there, and it was a rough moment for us as a band. Yeah. This isn't the show that I remember.
That one.
but we were like, something's got to change. We need to figure out something. I think a lot of bands that get put in that situation, they kind of get put in, they start thinking, is this it? Or should we kind of wrap things up? But we are incredibly stubborn, and we didn't. And the next time we came back, we had released Punching Bag in this new era, and it was awesome. The crowd was massive. There were all these other bands watching side stage, and it was just a cool full circle moment to go, it started here, and now we get to see the fruits of our labor here. So I'm always going to remember that show.
Amen.
Got to keep kicking and fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Anyone have like a 30-second question? No. Okay, one right in the front. She's going to crush this one.
Did you ever drink Rumple Minze again?
That's the perfect final question.
I feel like you don't even need an answer. That's how the interview ends.
Give it up for Set It Off!
Thank you for having us.